Hello, welcome on, welcome all. We are officially in the festive period. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that a wonderful thing to hear? Continuous Christmas adverts for the next month or so. But anyway, um, this episode's kind of on that subject. I saw an interesting TikTok yesterday, in which a guy had heard that the average street beggar in London makes £50 to £100 a day. And I'm lucky enough to have never had to go and beg to support my habit, but I know that to be approximately true. And he goes and does it. He goes and begs for a day, and he makes, I don't know, it's like 60 or 70 quid or something, like exactly in the figure that he was expecting. He talks about how a lot of people didn't want to show their face, and he uses the phrase secret millionaires. And there is, I guess, some of that going on to the extent of you can book yourself a hostel in London for 20 days for 20 quid if you live somewhere else in the country, and come down and beg and take 200 quid every day for 20 days and go home with 3.5 grand. And there is, of course, a much more serious problem with organised people trafficking of people from Albania and Romania and Eastern Europe, into essentially forced slavery for begging, which is where you want to look, and if you want to look for fraudulent activity in the begging sector. Oh yeah, and the most important and relevant thing, shame. Who wants the world to know that they're begging? Not many people. Like, it's fucking dehumanizing and degrading. Like, just for me, the thought of going out there to do it for a day is like, feels dehumanizing or degrading. It's, what if someone I went to school with bumps into me and I have to like explain this situation I'm in, and that's the reason a lot of people don't want to show their face, because it's not a shameful thing to do if you need to do it, but you're made to feel shame by society. And yeah, it's extremely hard. I imagine it's extremely hard not to. And I certainly imagine day after day it becomes very dehumanizing and very degrading pretty quickly. So yeah, I imagine that's why a lot of people didn't want their face on video. So anyway, but he kind of he's got this money, and it's like 60, 70 pounds, and he's confused because he's like, this is quite a lot of money. Like, these people are obviously stuck in some sort of cycle, because like, this is enough money to, if you're careful and work things out, like, get yourself out of this situation without too much trouble. And he's absolutely right. It is enough money to do that, and the vast majority of those people are in a cycle that stops them from doing that. And for most of those people, that cycle is drugs. And if they were inside in a house, they would probably be trying to survive emotionally and having the same drug addiction issues that they're having there, without being out there in the fucking freezing cold and having to deal with it out there. Because for the small number of you that have been following, like, I'm at the end or coming to the end of my detox, and my dependence level is probably about 5% of what someone with an active intravenous heroin habit has. And I still woke up this morning looking like this.
So I'm still waking up to this.
Now, I was eventually able to get enough of my oral opiate medicine down me to stop me being sick, and then kind of operate semi-normally, even though still going through that cycle of spending like 16 out of every 24 hours a day feeling ill to get through the last bit of detox. But like, that's alright if you're in a warm bed in a house. If you're outside, like in the temperature it's starting to get to now, no fucking way. Like, you just can't handle that. Like, you've got, like, you have to stop it. You have to stop it, and you have to find a way to buy drugs to make yourself well, because it's unpleasant enough going through it, like in a nice warm house. It must be fucking hell going through it out there on the street in winter. So it got me to thinking, this video. This Christmas, I'm probably not going to get any Christmas presents from anyone, and I don't really have anyone to send any Christmas presents to myself. But I do have what a lot of people don't have, which is a little bit of money. So I bought myself a present, and that present is a little video camera, and we're gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna go and sit on the streets and beg for a day, and I'm gonna make it clearly obvious on the sign that some of the money that I take will be spent on drugs, and then anyone who gives me more than £1, I'm gonna give them 10 times back what they give me. So if they give me £1, they get £10. If they give me £5, they get £50. If they give me £100, they get £1,000. Hopefully no one gives me £100, because I'll struggle with that. But yeah, I'll probably be the only person sitting on the streets of London that day, hoping no one drops £100 in their hat. So anyway, hopefully, like, if we do that and make a video and try and get a few views, then hopefully it will change people's attitudes a little bit, because the primary reason you hear for not giving money to people who are on the street is, oh, they're just going to spend it on drugs. But the reality is, like, without having spent that money on drugs, they're not even well enough to be able to sit there and beg, let alone do anything else to sort their life out. And of course, you've got the argument, you've got the drug services. But for anyone who's watched any of the other episodes on my channel, I mean, go back and watch them. I'll put a card in here for an appropriate episode. You're often left on the side of the street, like, starting to shiver in a pool of your own sweat, totally incapable of, like, doing anything. And that's just normal. It happens all the time. Admittedly, like with opiates, you're not in any danger. You're just having an incredibly horrible time. And like I say, if you're homeless, you're 100% not doing anything to sort that situation out when you're that ill. I guess the one bit that the recovery services have got right is that if you're benzodiazepine dependent and you're in withdrawal, you're at risk of seizure. And if you present in an A&E as suffering from benzodiazepine withdrawal, they will give you a very small amount to ensure that you don't have that seizure. But they kind of have to, because otherwise they're going to have people turning up saying, I'm worried I'm going to have a seizure because I'm addicted to benzos and I don't have any, and then they do nothing and the person has a seizure and either dies or has like serious lasting after effects. So that's I'm not so sure that's something that's done out of what's the word, out of a genuine concern for the user. I think that's something that's done out of, we have to do this, otherwise we're going to have a load of dead people to explain. That's my views anyway. But anyway, if you think this little plan is a good idea, then comment below. If you think it's a good idea, subscribe to the channel. No, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. I don't know which way by now. Subscribe to the channel, like it, share it, and hopefully in a couple of days I'll try and get this video done. Like I say, like I'm still going to the end of my detox myself, so, and it is fucking freezing out there. So yeah. Also, if you fancy coming and freezing next to me for a few hours, comment in the section below as well. Yeah. So that's it. That's another episode of the Third Path Recovery channel. And as usual, big love.